Hey everyone, it's Truett, and let's be real, turning 18 is a big deal. You're finally an adult, you can vote, serve in the military, but nobody really prepares you for the biggest adulting challenge: money. Most 18-year-olds I know, myself included back in the day, had no clue how money actually worked. We graduate high school thinking we're invincible, maybe head off to college or snag that first job, and bam, reality hits you harder than a Lambo speeding through the Hollywood Hills. Suddenly you've got rent or tuition payments, groceries to buy, those tempting credit card offers showing up in the mail like it's Christmas, and bills. It can feel like you're drowning in expenses you never even knew existed. But here's the thing, most of what you really need to know about managing your money, building wealth, and not ending up broke isn't something you learn in a classroom. It's not in some dusty textbook, it's real-world stuff they should be teaching you but don't. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna break down the essential money lessons every 18-year-old needs to know, so you can avoid the mistakes that trap so many people in a cycle of debt and financial stress. Let's get into it. Let's kick things off with rule number 1. Your money isn't really yours until you've successfully kept it. I know that sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but think about it. You get that paycheck, that nice, fat direct deposit hits your account, and what's the first thing most people do? They start spending it, they buy new clothes, go out to eat, maybe even splurge on that new gaming console they've had their eye on. But here's the catch. Until you've covered your essential expenses, your needs before your wants, that money isn't truly yours to spend freely. Think of it like this. Imagine your income is a bucket of water. Before you can even think about watering your fun little plants, your wants, you've got to make sure the essential ones, your needs, are taken care of. Rent, utilities, groceries, those are your non-negotiables. You have to plug those leaks in your financial bucket before you can even think about using that water for anything else. Otherwise, you're constantly pouring money into a leaky bucket, and let me tell you, that's a recipe for financial disaster. You'll never get ahead, you'll always be playing catch-up, and that's not a fun game, trust me. Now let's break down this whole needs versus wants thing a bit further. Needs are your non-negotiables, the things you absolutely cannot live without. We're talking about housing, whether it's rent or a mortgage payment, utilities to keep the lights on and the water running, groceries to fuel your body, and transportation to get you to work or school. These are the foundational expenses that you absolutely must cover every single month. On the other hand, we have the wants. These are the things that are nice to have, the things that make life more enjoyable, but they're not essential for your survival. Think about things like eating out at restaurants, buying new clothes when your old ones are perfectly fine, that fancy new phone that's just a slightly upgraded version of the one you already have, or those concert tickets that could be the difference between making rent and being late. Now, I'm not saying you can never have any fun or buy anything that isn't absolutely essential. What I am saying is that you need to be mindful of your spending and prioritize your needs before your wants. It's about finding a balance, a sustainable way to manage your money so that you can enjoy your life without constantly stressing about your finances. Now you might be thinking, okay Graham, I get it, needs before wants. But what about all those small expenses, those daily coffees, those impulse buys at the checkout line? They can't be that bad, right? Wrong. These small, seemingly insignificant expenses, they add up faster than you think. Let's say you grab a $5 latte every morning on your way to work or school. That's $25 a week, $100 a month, and over a year, you've spent $1,200 on coffee. Now I'm not saying you can never enjoy a latte again, but imagine if you took that $1,200 and invested it instead. Over time, that money could grow exponentially thanks to the power of compound interest. It's like that old saying, take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves. The same principle applies to your finances. Those small expenses, those little leaks in your financial bucket, they might not seem like much in the moment, but over time, they can drain your bank account and sabotage your financial goals. Let's move on to rule number 2, and this one's a game changer. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. This rule is all about being honest with yourself about your spending habits and avoiding the dreaded debt trap. Think about it, if you're about to drop a significant chunk of change on something, a new phone, a weekend trip, whatever it might be, ask yourself this. If I had to buy this exact same thing again tomorrow, would I still be able to pay for it without going into debt? If the answer is no, then you can't afford it, plain and simple. Now, I'm not saying you should be walking around with two of everything, but this rule is more about mindset than anything else. It's about being mindful of your spending, avoiding impulse purchases, and making sure you're not living beyond your means. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, to convince yourself that you need that new gadget or that you deserve a shopping spree. But before you whip out your credit card, take a step back and ask yourself that crucial question. Can I buy this twice? If the answer is no, then walk away. Your future self will thank you. Now let's talk about debt for a second. Debt can be a slippery slope, and it's easier to fall into than you might think. It starts with a small purchase here, a credit card swipe there, and before you know it, you're drowning in minimum payments and interest charges. The truth is, most people can't afford the things they buy on credit. They're living beyond their means, relying on borrowed money to maintain a lifestyle they can't actually sustain. And the worst part? That debt, it follows you around like a shadow. It limits your options, stresses you out, and prevents you from achieving your financial goals. So how do you avoid the debt trap? It's simple. Live within your means. Spend less than you earn. Save up for the things you want instead of buying them on credit. It might sound boring, but trust me, it's a lot less stressful than constantly worrying about how you're going to make your next credit card payment. Alright, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of managing your money like a pro, even if you're working with a tight budget. And for that, we're going to use a simple, yet incredibly effective budgeting rule, the 50-30-20 rule. This rule is like a roadmap for your money, helping you allocate your income in a way that makes sense and sets you up for financial success. So here's how it works. 50% of your after-tax income should go towards your needs. Remember those non-negotiables we talked about earlier? Rent, utilities, groceries, those essential expenses that keep your life running smoothly. 30% of your income is allocated for your wants. This is where you can have a little fun, indulge in those things that bring you joy, but remember, it's all about balance. And finally, 20% of your income should be dedicated to savings and debt repayment. This includes building up your emergency fund, investing for your future, and tackling any debt you might have. Now I know what you're thinking. 20% for savings and debt repayment? That seems like a lot, and you know what? You're right, it is a significant chunk of your income. That 20% dedicated to savings and debt repayment is your financial safety net, your shield against unexpected expenses, and your ticket to financial freedom. Let's break it down. First up, your emergency fund. Life is unpredictable, things happen. Your car breaks down, you lose your job, an unexpected medical bill pops up. You never know what curveballs life is going to throw your way. That's where your emergency fund comes in. It's a stash of cash that's specifically designed to cover those unexpected expenses, so you don't have to go into debt every time life throws you a curveball. Ideally, your emergency fund should have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved up. Next, we have debt repayment. If you're carrying any high-interest debt like credit card debt, paying it down as quickly as possible should be a top priority. That high interest rate is like a financial anchor, weighing you down and preventing you from making progress towards your goals. And finally, we have investing. Investing is the key to building long-term wealth and securing your financial future. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow thanks to the magic of compound interest. Now, let's talk about bank accounts. I know, it might not sound like the most exciting topic, but trust me, having the right bank accounts can make a huge difference in how you manage your money. Instead of lumping all of your money into one giant account, I recommend having 2 to 3 separate accounts, each with a specific purpose. First, you need a checking account. This is your everyday spending account, the one you use for paying bills, withdrawing cash, and making purchases. Next, you'll want a dedicated savings account. This is where you'll park your emergency fund, your sinking funds for future expenses, and any other short-term savings goals you might have. The key here is to choose a high-yield savings account that pays you a decent interest rate on your deposits. Now, if you're serious about investing, which you should be, You'll want to open a brokerage account. This is where you'll buy and sell investments like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Having separate accounts helps you stay organized, track your progress, and avoid accidentally dipping into your savings for everyday expenses. Now let's talk about priorities. When you're young and just starting out, it's easy to get caught up in the allure of material possessions. You see your friends with their fancy cars, their designer clothes, their expensive gadgets, and you can't help but feel a little envious. But here's the thing, most of those people are drowning in debt. They're sacrificing their financial security for the fleeting satisfaction of keeping up with the Joneses. Remember that emergency fund we talked about earlier? That's more important than a nice car. Having that financial safety net gives you peace of mind, knowing that you can handle whatever life throws your way without going into debt. It's the foundation of a solid financial plan, and it should be your top priority. So, before you even think about buying that new car, make sure you have a fully funded emergency fund. Trust me, the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're financially secure is worth far more than any material possession. Now I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, Graham, but budgeting? That sounds like a lot of work. And you know what? It doesn't have to be. Budgeting isn't about restricting yourself or depriving yourself of the things you enjoy. It's about being mindful of your spending, making conscious choices and aligning your spending with your values. There are tons of budgeting apps and tools out there that can make the process super simple. You can set up automatic transfers, track your spending in real time, and even get personalized insights into your financial habits. The key is to find a system that works for you and stick with it. Remember, managing your money doesn't have to be complicated. By following these simple principles, you can take control of your finances, build a solid financial foundation, and set yourself up for a lifetime of financial success. Alright, let's talk about one of the biggest money traps out there, buying a brand new car. I get it, that new car smell is intoxicating, and who doesn't love that feeling of driving off the lot with a shiny new ride? But trust me, that feeling fades fast, and it comes with a hefty price tag. You see, new cars depreciate like crazy. The second you drive it off the lot, it loses a significant chunk of its value. In fact, in the first year alone, a new car can lose up to 20% of its value, and it just keeps going down from there. Think about that for a second. You're essentially lighting thousands of dollars on fire just by owning a new car. Now, I'm not saying you should be driving around in a beat-up clunker for the rest of your life. But buying a used car, even one that's just a couple years old, can save you a ton of money. You'll let someone else take that initial depreciation hit, and you'll still get a great car at a fraction of the price. Remember, a car is a depreciating asset. It loses value over time. Your goal should be to minimize that depreciation as much as possible, and buying used is the smartest way to do that. Now let's talk about another major money trap that a lot of young people fall into: college debt. Look, I'm a big believer in education, but I'm also a big believer in being smart about how you pay for it. The average student loan debt is over $37,000, and that's just the average. That's a huge burden to carry around, especially when you're just starting out in life. So how do you avoid this trap? First off, explore all your options before you even think about taking out loans. Look into scholarships, grants, and work-study programs. There's literally free money out there for college. You just have to put in the time and effort to find it. Second, consider going to a community college for your first 2 years. You'll save a ton of money on tuition, and you can always transfer to a 4-year university later on. And finally, if you do have to take out loans, be strategic about it. Borrow only what you absolutely need and focus on federal loans over private loans, as they tend to have better terms and interest rates. Remember, college is an investment, but it shouldn't cripple you financially for years to come. Be smart about your choices and don't let debt hold you back from achieving your goals. Let's talk about credit cards for a second. Credit cards can be useful tools, but they can also be incredibly dangerous if you're not careful. One of the biggest mistakes people make is only making the minimum payment each month. I know it can be tempting, especially when you're on a tight budget, but trust me, it's a trap. Here's why. When you only make the minimum payment, you're barely covering the interest charges, which means the principal balance of your debt barely goes down. This means you end up paying way more in interest over the life of the loan. It's like running on a treadmill. You're putting in all this effort, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Instead of falling into the minimum payment trap, make it a goal to pay off your credit card balance in full every single month. This way, you'll avoid paying any interest at all, and you'll keep your credit score healthy. Remember, credit cards are not free money. They're loans that need to be repaid, and the longer you take to repay them, the more expensive they become. Make a budget, track your spending, and be disciplined about paying off your balances. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Have you ever noticed how, as you start making more money, your expenses seem to magically increase as well? That's called lifestyle inflation, and it's another one of those sneaky money traps that can really hold you back. You get a raise, you buy a nicer car, you get a promotion, you move into a bigger apartment. It's a natural human tendency, but it's not doing you any favors. The problem with lifestyle inflation is that it keeps you stuck in the same cycle. You're making more money, but you're also spending more money, so you're not actually getting ahead. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. You might be pouring more water in, but it's all going down the drain anyway. The key to breaking free from lifestyle inflation is to be intentional with your spending. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you have to buy it. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle every time you get a raise, focus on increasing your savings rate and investing the difference. Remember, true wealth isn't about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. So, fight the urge to inflate your lifestyle and focus on building a solid financial foundation instead. Let's talk about procrastination, specifically when it comes to saving and investing. It's easy to tell yourself, I'll start saving next month, or I'm too young to worry about retirement. But the truth is, the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. Compound interest is like a snowball rolling downhill. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets. But if you keep putting it off, you're missing out on all that potential growth. Time is your biggest asset when it comes to building wealth, and the younger you are, the more time you have on your side. Even if you can only afford to save a small amount each month, do it. It's not about the amount, it's about building the habit and letting compound interest work its magic. Remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So don't fall into the trap of procrastination. Start small, be consistent, and watch your wealth grow over time. Alright, let's dive into the exciting part: building wealth. And trust me, you don't need to be a Wall Street whiz or inherit a fortune to do it. The secret? Start investing early. Remember that compound interest snowball we talked about? Well, it's about to become your new best friend. The earlier you start investing, the more time your money has to grow exponentially. Even if you can only invest a small amount each month, it will add up over time. Think of it like this. You're essentially paying your future self first. You're putting your money to work for you, so it can grow and compound over time. Now, I know investing can seem intimidating at first, but it doesn't have to be. There are plenty of resources available to help you get started, like robo-advisors or even just simple index funds. The important thing is to take action and start investing today. Here's the thing. Building wealth isn't just about investing your money, it's also about investing in yourself. The more valuable your skills and knowledge are, the more earning potential you'll have. This doesn't necessarily mean you need a fancy degree or certification, although those can be helpful. It's about constantly learning and improving your skills. This could be anything from learning a new programming language to mastering the art of sales to becoming a master chef. Identify your strengths, explore your interests, and find ways to monetize your skills. The job market is constantly evolving, so it's crucial to stay ahead of the curve. Embrace lifelong learning, be adaptable, and never stop investing in your own personal and professional development. Want to accelerate your wealth-building journey? Start a side hustle. A side hustle is a great way to earn extra income, explore your passions, and gain valuable experience. Plus, it diversifies your income streams, which is crucial for financial security. The beauty of a side hustle is that it can be anything you want it to be. You could freelance your skills, start an e-commerce business, drive for a ride-sharing service, or even turn your hobbies into a profitable venture. The possibilities are endless. The key is to find something you enjoy doing and that aligns with your skills and interests. Remember, a side hustle doesn't have to be a full-time commitment. Start small, work on it consistently, and who knows, it might even turn into your full-time gig one day. Now I know what you're thinking. Graham, you're killing me with this budgeting talk. But trust me, budgeting isn't about restricting yourself or living like a monk. It's about having a plan for your money so you can achieve your financial goals. Think of it like this. If you were going on a road trip, you wouldn't just hop in the car and start driving without a destination in mind, right? The same goes for your money. A budget is simply a roadmap for your finances. It helps you track your income and expenses, identify areas where you can save, and make sure you're allocating your money towards your priorities. There are tons of budgeting methods out there, so find one that works for you and stick with it. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Even if you mess up sometimes, don't give up. Budgeting is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice to master. Building wealth isn't just about the numbers, it's also about building good financial habits. It's about being mindful of your spending, making smart investment choices, and constantly seeking ways to improve your financial literacy. One of the best things you can do is to educate yourself about personal finance. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos like this one, and learn from experts in the field. The more you know about managing your money, the better equipped you'll be to make sound financial decisions. Remember, building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time, effort, and consistency. But trust me, the rewards are well worth it. So, start early, stay focused, and never stop learning. So there you have it, guys. That's Money 101. What every 18-year-old needs to know. If you start applying these lessons today, your future self will thank you. Remember, money isn't about luck, it's about choices. Start saving, avoid debt traps, and build wealth early so you can live life on your own terms. What was the biggest money lesson you learned today? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you found this video helpful, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more common sense financial advice. Until next time, take care and keep hustling.